Hello everyone and welcome back to Adastra. On the last episode, Amicus won, but very reminiscent of something that happened in the past few years. A group of people chosen to represent the will of the people didn't. And people are going to be pissed because it's unlike the event that happened here recently. It screwed the nationalist as opposed to the popular choice. Well, of course, the popular choice was the nationalist. It's similar yet different. The point is, shit's fucked. And we're about to see what happens because of it. It's strange. Amicus won, but it doesn't exactly feel that way after what Neferu just told me. Amicus didn't genuinely win. He'd won because of a rumor, basically making the entire trial thing pointless. Still, I can't exactly feel bad about that. Cassius bugged this very room to show footage of Amicus fucking Neferu. Closed my eyes, rubbed them with a hand as I realized how much that might have damaged Amicus's reputation. Not only did the people realize this trial was decided from the beginning by corrupt triumvirates, but also that their soon-to-be emperor had sex with a male. A Camian male at that. But again, Cassius losing because of his intention to get rid of one of the few checks on his power seems like karma to me. Weren't they keeping the Emperor's power in check by making the decision that they did? Technically, Amicus will become Emperor now, though I guess it won't be official until Cassius actually concedes the third trial. I turned these thoughts over and over in my head for the next 20 minutes, a bit annoyed by the fact that even though I got exactly what I wanted, several issues had to come with it. Suddenly the door slides open and I forget my worry for just a moment as I see Amicus standing there. He only gets a few steps into the room before I'm already there, wrapping my arms around his body as I hug him.
Oh, hey William. Everything alright?
The wolf sets a heavy paw on my head, rubbing the pads gently against my scalp. Are you?
Of course.
Amicus smiles down at me warmly, but having known him this long, I know that's not exactly true. Well, we won.
We did.
He's quiet for a bit, continuing to rub my head. This isn't really how I imagined it would go. Amicus laughs softly.
Neither did I, but we did win, and that's the important part.
Amicus hugs me tightly again. Is what Cassius did, what he showed. How bad was that?
Amicus grimaces. Bad. But I'll find a way to get through that. Seems my first job as Emperor will be rebuilding my image.
When do you become Emperor?
As soon as Cassius gives up. I don't think he's in the mood to do that quite yet, though.
We stand there for a while, Amicus continuing to stroke my head as I lean it against his chest, listening to the soft beat of his heart. I'm just glad it's over.
I feel the same.
So what next?
Well, for now, I must go to the city. The triumvirates requested the imperial family to be seen at once.
Oh, why?
Well, everyone assumes the trial's to be over. They'd like to discuss things with the family before they leave Adastra for their own cities.
I see.
They also requested you go.
Gotta bring along the narrator. I lean back to look up at the wolf. Really?
Yes, though I told them not to expect it. I know you wanted to see the city, but it's up to you. Well, it won't be the actual city, just the district where the delegates live. Things are a bit chaotic in the city center at the moment.
Chaotic?
The citizens are excited after the trial.
Ah. I imagine excited means angry. I could. But doing official stuff seems kinda scary.
You wouldn't have to do anything. Just look happy to be there. But it's up to you.
Would it help you?
Possibly. I would certainly be happy to have you there.
Then sure. Those eyebrows go up in surprise.
Oh, really? Well, alright then. Let's go.
Now?
Yes, I believe the others are already in the chariot. Are you ready?
I think so, unless I need to bring anything.
Not at all. And sorry, I know things are moving fast at the moment. It's to be expected after the trial, but we can talk in private when we get back, alright?
Okay. Amicus is already turning to pull me along, but I stop him. When he turns, I do what I'd wanted to do since right before the trial started, and I kiss him on the lips. The chariot is really just a large metallic carriage. It has benches inside with an open top. He has a squeaky toy now, get used to it. There are no horses, of course, and it seems to move on its own. It's the first time I've ever seen wheels being used for transportation here, though. As we're walking up to it, I notice Virginia and Neferu are already sitting in the front, and Cassius is in the back with Alex, very deliberately looking away from us. I whisper to Amicus as we get closer to the chariot. Cassius is going?
Yes. I think Cato made him go.
Despite everything the White Wolf has done, especially in the trial, I can't help but feel a little sorry for him. Don't. It was all on purpose. I can't imagine having to go out in public right after your years-long campaign was defeated. It wasn't. For the record, in case I happen to be right about these predictions, they are just predictions. I don't play these games beforehand. So I have no fucking clue what's about to happen. I just hope everything goes well. Amicus hops in first, sitting next to Virginia before reaching down to pull me up next to him. I thought we'd be flying there.
We usually do, but since the ship we used to take to the city, crashed a few months ago, we decided the chariot is safer and more inconspicuous.
Yes, something that will come in handy considering the state of the city right now.
Yes.
What's the state of the city? Gina fixes her eyes on me, really looking at me for the first time in a while. Riots, looting, the usual, though a bit unusual for Adastra City compared to, say, Lux. Amicus glances at me, but that's when there's a sudden jerk as the chariot moves forward toward the tree line. Virginia looks at Amicus. I must say, your pet is much more fascinating than I'd originally thought. He could barely speak when I first met him.
Yes, he was shy.
I guess I should have told Amicus that my act had been exposed at this point. Well, we must reconnect with this Simia, then. They seem oddly intelligent.
Yes. Thank God for the trees, Venus. Too harsh today.
Amicus clearly tries to change the subject as the road turns into the thick forest. We're blanketed in an eerie green glow as the forest envelops us. Strange, glowing insects fly around our carriage, and I notice how ancient the trees look, gnarled and rough, almost completely blocking out the sky. Hopefully they allow us to freshen up a bit before the ceremony. I'll be a mess by the time we reach the city. Virginia whips out her large, embroidered fan again, waving it frantically in her face. Kinda wish I had one too. My skin is almost immediately sticky with the humid air. You look fine. Besides, we'll all be in the same state. Amicus glances over at the jackal.
I have to wonder what brought you along, Neferu.
My presence was requested.
By whom?
Oh, for the sake of Vita, don't start, Amicus.
What? I'm simply curious.
No, you're trying to start a fight, which is the last thing we need in front of the triumvirates. Besides, isn't your policy to befriend Camians?
An alliance isn't a friendship.
Camians see it as a friendship. Besides, everyone probably thinks you're already very close after what was broadcast.
Virginia!
She hides her smirk behind the fan as Neferu grins beside her. I'm simply reminding you that it might still be fresh in everyone's mind when we get there. Amicus slumps in his seat, his legs stretched out in front of him.
All the more reason to seem distant. That will probably affect my reputation for years.
Oh, don't be so dramatic. The people love such scandals. They simply pretend to be outraged. Amicus snorts, but doesn't say anything more, signaling that the conversation is over. I wonder if Cassius, sitting right behind us, is listening in. Probably. I find this whole thing strange. The wolf that tried to sabotage Amicus by leaking what was basically a porno sitting right behind us. Turn my head ever so slightly, trying to look back at Cassius to see if he's looking at us. I don't see anything. So I turn more fully and find that the white wolf is laying down, eyes closed, with his head in Alex's lap. Alex looks up at me and smiles with a wave. I wave back awkwardly before quickly turning around. Virginia and Nephrus seem to be caught up in their own conversation at the moment, while Amicus continues to sulk, staring at his feet. So, what exactly is going to happen when we get there?
Well, the meeting with the Triumvirates, as I said earlier. After that, we'll likely get to walk the streets of the district, visit the shops and a restaurant.
So I'll just stand next to you?
Yes.
Alright. For the rest of the ride, I lean against Amicus's side. After several minutes, I start to nod off. Amicus notices and wraps an arm around me, and I'm able to comfortably lean against his chest to fall asleep. God, when people were saying I was really behind in this game, they weren't fucking kidding. The next thing I know, I'm being nudged away by Amicus. I find myself staring at several buildings, the sudden change in scenery leaving me dazed. Still trying to get my bearings as Amicus hops out of the carriage, reaching up to lift me down. When I look back up, I'm able to see a large group of wolves off to the side, watching us intently. Immediately, I feel self-conscious, the crowd being the largest gathering of wolves that I've seen in person, come in all shapes and sizes, and I'm surprised to see a few of them that are almost as short as I am. One characteristic all of them share, though, is their thick-bodied stature. Amicus guides me around to stand in front of the chariot, with Nephru, Virginia, Cassius, and Alex holding me close to his side. One of the old wolves steps forward from the group.
Welcome, Imperial family. Thank you so much for coming on this day of the second trial. It was a marvelous show.
That seems like a bold thing to say after a clip of Nephru and Amicus having sex was shown. Doesn't seem to be any awkwardness, though, the old wolf's looking eager to talk to Amicus.
I am Cicero, first triumvirate of Adastra.
The old wolf walks forward towards Amicus, setting his paws on the bigger wolf's shoulders and touching the sides of their muzzles together. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Cassius shooting us a sour, angry look. The wolf and Amicus hold a short conversation, the older wolf asking Amicus what he thought of Adastra, what problems the city was currently having, and how they might proceed in the future. You're getting ahead of yourselves, man. After that, he then moves on to Virginia, where the conversation is much shorter. Another wolf from the group moves forward to talk to Amicus, the conversation following a roughly similar pattern. There's no talk about Amicus being emperor, but the assumption is there. And when each of them gets to Cassius, it's almost equally brief as it was with Virginia. Despite the novelty of this situation, I quickly become bored, and the conversations blend together very quickly as over a dozen of these old wolves come forward to introduce themselves to Amicus. For his part, Amicus does a really good job of seeming enthusiastic for each introduction, by mentioning that he already knows who they are and that he thinks very highly of their city and region. Occasionally, they'll glance at me and comment on how strange I look, though it's usually with a positive tone, congratulating Amicus on snagging me. It does seem to make Amicus uncomfortable, but I keep a straight face and bow each time, seeming to delight the old wolves with my etiquette. Eventually, these introductions end, and as we start to move towards the shops, the triumvirates continue to follow us, and I find myself having a harder time keeping up with Amicus. Practically surrounded by the triumvirates, I give up on trying to stay next to him, and even though he keeps glancing at me and calls to me a few times, I just wave him on, choosing to instead walk alongside Nephru and Virginia. Sure, it's annoying, but he's about to become emperor, so it makes sense that he's so popular. As we walk through the streets, wolves call out to Amicus from doorways and windows as he tries to wave at all of them. Further up the road, a group of children, puppies, I guess, show up with flowers in their paws, handing them out to Amicus and the triumvirates. As I watch this happening, I notice a particularly patchy-looking child, no taller than my waist, standing off to the side awkwardly, looking right at me as she holds a flower in her paws. I pause, unsure if she means to give it to me. When I do, she moves closer. So I bend over, reaching out, and her paws widen, probably simultaneously horrified and fascinated at getting the crazy alien's attention. Nevertheless, she comes closer and shyly pushes the crumpled, wilted flower into my hands, before suddenly leaning in and touching the sides of her face to mine. For a moment, I see her watery, bloodshot eyes. Then I feel the slightly damp fur brush my skin before she makes an odd yelping sound and runs off down the street. Oh no. I stare after her, wondering if I'd done something wrong. Found yourself a gift. I look down at the white flower, noticing that several petals are missing. I guess. That one didn't look healthy, did she? Not really. Maybe Cassius had a point with his speech. I think they both made good points, honestly. Every gestures of the gaggle of wolves moving further and further away from us. Better catch up before they leave us behind. Yeah. Look down at the flower one last time before dropping it to the road, feeling a little guilty as I do. Why would you do that? Even though the ceremony is technically over, the triumvirates don't seem to want to leave Amicus alone. I'm kind of amazed at how well Amicus is dealing with them, considering how irritating and how irritated I'm feeling. Amicus tries to bring me over to his side a few times, pointing out trinkets and souvenirs that he tries to explain, as if wanting to show me a bit of Adastran culture. It's nice. I can tell he wants to involve me, but it's far too busy. Triumvirates and locals breaking every 5 seconds to tell Amicus something, or ask or tell Amicus something. Wish you could just tell them all to go away, but I know it doesn't work like that. On top of this, my joints are already really starting to ache from all this walking, and I wonder if living in the palace for so long has made me soft. Eventually, I just trailed the group of wolves, browsing the goods they do. It's interesting, sure, but everything's so similar to what we have on Earth. Necklaces, earrings, brushes, clothes, nothing all that mind-blowing. Eventually, Amicus very loudly calls out that he'd like to go to a restaurant with his pet if everyone would please allow him through. I take this as my cue to move to his side, and he immediately puts an arm around mine, holding me close. As I walked up to the street, the many wolves still following behind us, Amicus puts his muzzle close to my ear, and my neck, one that's oddly painful. Everything okay, William? You seem a bit uncomfortable. I shrug. Everything around here is new to me, so I guess I do feel a little bit off. Well, let's settle down in a restaurant. We can cool off and catch our breath there. The wolf gives me a quick squeeze with his arm, and despite my slightly sour mood, I can't help but smile a bit. I mean, it is kind of cool that my friend is so popular, even if it's because he's going to be the next emperor. I just don't have a good feeling. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. We walk into a small but cozy restaurant, and I can tell right away that it's rather upscale with its carved pillars and the fancy tapestries on the wall. Then again, everything in this district is kind of upscale, I guess. The triumvirates follow us right into the restaurant, though, and let out a frustrated sigh. Amicus notices right away and signals at a wolf standing behind a podium. This particular wolf is staring at us wide-eyed, apparently gobsmacked at seeing the soon-to-be emperor show up in his restaurant. He practically trips over himself to get to us, banging his hip on the side of the table as he does. Yes, your Majesty? Amicus grimaces. Just Amicus, please. Could you get us a secluded table, preferably with no one seated next to us? Of course! The wolf stumbles over himself again before leading us to a corner of the restaurant, gesturing at a table there. He then turns to a couple next to the table and begins to frantically hiss at them to move. They stare at him in astonishment until Amicus steps in to stop them. They're fine, just don't let any of that group over there sit next to us, if that's all right. He jerks his head over to the gaggle of old wolves, all of them staring at us rather hawkishly. Oh, yes, of course. Hurries off towards said group, and we're finally able to sit down, or lay down. The seats are, of course, in the Roman style. Amicus settles down with a huge sigh, stretching his big body over the bed. There he is! Sorry about that. I should have warned you about how frustrating it can be with all the pointless chatter. I shrug. Seems about right for politics. Oh, it is. But don't worry, it's rare that all the triumvirates are in the city all at once.
This is for the trials, of course.
Yeah, makes sense.
You sure you're okay? I can never seem to tell.
I'm fine. I rub my arms, the skin's sensitive and sore, just like my joints. Wonder if I'm getting sunburned, too.
Alright. So, what do you think of the city? This part of it, at least. Wish I could take you to where the skyscrapers are, but as I said, things are a bit chaotic at the moment.
It's pretty cool. It wouldn't exactly be out of place on Earth. Definitely different, but really similar.
Oh, well, you were uplifted by us after all.
Yeah.
Oh, you were uplifted by us after all.
Yeah. So this is what you're going to do as Emperor? Come to the city and just talk?
Harry chuckles. Oh, there will be much more to it, I'm sure. I'm hoping Cato will teach me a bit, if he's able to get over the trial.
I remember that Cato did vote for Cassius. He's probably furious about it right now. Won't you have, like, advisors and stuff?
Well, yes, but I must choose them.
Would you choose Cato?
I could.
Will you?
Well, maybe. But recent events have left me a bit unsure of that.
Why's that? Amicus shakes his head.
Don't worry about it now. We should be celebrating.
I mean, you could become Emperor at any moment. Shouldn't you have someone who's got a good head on their shoulders at the ready?
I suppose. Who would you suggest?
I get the feeling that he's goading me to offer myself, but that definitely wouldn't be the case. The few wolves I know make the decision pretty easy. Virginia. Amicus raises an eyebrow in slight surprise.
Oh, well, yes, I would definitely consider her. The only problem is the image of a female telling me what to do. The tail-raiser reputation is bad enough.
I roll my eyes. Maybe wolven masculinity is something you could fix while you're Emperor. Amicus doesn't seem to know how to answer that, but he doesn't have to as our food arrives. I'm a bit surprised since we didn't order, but looking around it seems like everyone gets the same thing. Uh-oh. That motherfucker over there is not happy. I don't know. There's the usual olives, grapes, cheese, and bread, but also seafood and even eggs, which surprises me. Amicus thanks the nervous waiter before immediately starting to dig in. I do the same, but while I'm spreading cheese onto the bread, my mind wanders back to what might be happening in the city right now. So, how bad are things in the city? No one seems to be concerned about it.
What I've been told, it's fairly mild. Riots are common in Adastra, but they don't last long. I think the people will calm down within the next few days.
Oh, okay. So they don't, like, dislike you or anything? It takes Amicus a moment to swallow down his mouthful of bread before speaking.
Oh, no. Most of the anger is directed at the triumvirates. I will say, though, I have my work cut out in rebuilding my reputation.
Because of the sex video?
Yes.
Amicus tries to smile it off lightheartedly, but I can see his ears turning red. Must be weird going out in public like this, knowing that everyone saw it.
I was told by one of the triumvirates from Lux to simply say it was fake. Not sure if it'll work.
Could be a good idea.
Really, the biggest issue is that it delegitimizes the alliance process with the Camians. People will believe that I'm beholden to Neferu somehow.
Amicus's expression finally falls a bit, staring down at the food as his munching slows down. Well, multiple people have left the frame at this point. I'm sure they'll get over it. From what I've been told, it seems like they're quick to forget.
Oh, yes, as soon as the next scandal comes along, hopefully one not involving me.
Yeah. He sat in silence for a while, and I can tell something heavy is on Amicus's mind. In the meantime, I'm a bit distracted with itching specific spots on my arms, feeling tiny little bumps on the skin. You've been poisoned, mother fricker. I wonder if I'm allergic to something in the meal. So I stop eating for the moment, and choosing instead to lounge on the bed.
William, I've been meaning to ask you something.
Yeah?
Do you want to stay here, even after I become emperor?
Question catches me by surprise, and I'm left to try to gather my thoughts for a moment as Amicus continues to look down. What do you mean? Amicus sighs and glances at me.
I mean, do you want to stay here with me, even if you have the ability to go home?
Amicus quickly looks down again. I'm sorry, I know it's not my place to ask, but I thought I might as well ask. I stare at him for a moment, then I look down too. You know I need to go back. At the very least, I need to let my friends and family know that I'm okay. I know that they're looking for me in Italy right now. Probably all of Europe at this point. I need to let them know. Amicus coughs hastily.
Of course.
But that doesn't mean I don't want to come back. I do. I know. I just know that that there are problems. I lower my voice as I remember that we're in a public place and mentioning illegal first contact would not be a good idea. If we can fix the problems, honestly, I'd love to come back and stay for a long time. I kind of surprised myself with that statement, but it's true. Amicus glances at me in surprise.
Really?
Yes. If it wasn't a risk to your empire.
Of course. I mean to speak to the parents as soon as I'm able. I'm certain we can figure something out.
Look at Amicus's face right now, so sad but a little hopeful, reminds me of something that I've been wanting to do for the past week. And Amicus?
Yeah?
Glance around quickly, making sure the nearby patrons aren't listening. Do you want to date me? The statement's so ridiculous, so silly, and the situation comes out all quiet and weak. But I don't know how else to ask it. The word is so complicated between us now with how I tried to explain it to Amicus. Something that I don't think I've ever said to anyone before, but just like Amicus, I find myself looking down immediately. It's quiet for a moment, and the restaurant suddenly lights up with a golden hue as the sunset hits the windows just right. I hear a long exhalation and realize that the wolf has been holding his breath. I look up then and see Amicus smiling at me. Oh, that's nice. There's a mixture of happiness and relief on his face, maybe even a little amusement. I guess we've been dancing around it for so long, we both knew by now that it's what we wanted. That's what we've been building up to.
Of course, William. I'm honored that you'd have me.
I even see his eyes glistening a bit. And I want to get up right there and then and join him on his bed, but public setting holds me back. I imagine Amicus is feeling the same way, and I wonder if maybe asking here in public wasn't the best place for it. But it was done. I feel myself grinning despite myself. Wolf grins right back. Like you said, while I'm here, we might as well get to know each other better. And if you do figure something out, I can come back. Amicus nods and turns his head in a way that he's able to wipe an eye on his shoulder. Probably hoping I wouldn't notice. He looks so relieved. I realized even after we made up in the meditation room, he was probably still feeling unsure of where we stood romantically. But there are boundaries. And if I'm dating you, you have to tell me everything and no slipping around behind my back.
Of course, I've promised to tell you everything, especially everything that concerns you. And I don't ever intend on breaking that promise to you.
And sleeping around. I'm just seeing his flick back and he glances over at our neighbors who are definitely trying to eavesdrop. Lowers his voice to a good deal.
Definitely not. Not that I have anyone to be with, but we can discuss all this when we get back to our room, and
he lowers his voice even more.
Maybe do a little more as well.
He was flat as I roll my eyes, but then they come back up as I smile. Sure. Immediately his tail starts thumping the bed, and the eager look on his face has me shaking my head. Can't deny that I'm excited too, actually. Feeling kind of nervous now that I just promised him that. How do we even start? We sit together a while longer, the conversation moving a bit to more casual topics like how the districts of the city are divided up. Though as the hour passes, I start to feel hot and a little dizzy, and when I mention this to Amicus, he suggests we head back to the palace. Fate is completely set by the time we're heading out towards the carriage. Of course, several delegates around us as we start to head off, but Amicus promises it'll only be 10 minutes, and I head out into the street alone. Oh no. Alone to stand next to the chariot. It's a bit nicer out here in the open air compared to the stuffy restaurant. I can tell now that I was definitely getting sick. All that soreness and exhaustion was just the beginning of a creeping fever that I can feel breaking out across my skin. I end up sitting on the carriage step, head bowed as I feel myself starting to sweat. It's not anything I haven't felt before, but there's an odd prickling sensation underneath it all, like pins and needles just under my skin, leaving me wanting to itch at various places on my body. I just wish Amicus would hurry up. Now there's two, since I'm the only one standing out here. You've made sure to emphasize that. Something bad's gonna fucking happen. I can't even remember where Neferu and Virginia went. Someplace shopping, I think. Simeon. Wait, what? Oh, that was Cassius. Simeon. Cassius' voice is low and quiet to my left, and I glance over to see him leaning up casually against the chariot. Make a half-hearted attempt at bowing at him, sort of just flopping my head in his direction. Wolf glares before walking towards me. What game are you playing? That was probably the worst time for this to happen. Game? I'm a lot stupidly looking toward the restaurant to see if I can see Amicus through the crowd gathered in front. Do not act stupid. I know you're capable of understanding. I just shake my head, but immediately regret it as I feel all the food I'd just eaten roll around in my stomach. I'm really sick, way more than I realized, and I can't believe how hard and fast it's hitting me. Do you remember several weeks back in which you served me during midday meal? Virginia and Neferu were there. I just stick to silence now, worried that moving at all is going to make me hurl. Of course you remember. You told the triumvirates about what I intended to do with them, didn't you? Cassie moves closer, but the feelings coursing through my body leaves me not caring all that much about him right now. I need to get to Amicus. I need to tell him that something's wrong. I hug myself, feeling that prickling sensation erupt to the surface. My skin on my arms and chest and legs burning and itching in the most horrible way. I gasp. What is that? Some sort of simian language? Listen to me. I want to know what you told them, and how you knew to tell them. I felt bumps on my arms, bumps that weren't there just minutes ago. I look down, and even though it's hard to see in the darkness, I'm at least able to see that my skin is splotchy and discolored. Shakily, I touch one of the splotches and watch as a tear of clear... Oh... What the hell? Suddenly grabs the front of my robes and pulls me up. Are you listening, pet? I said I was worried about small movements. But that huge lurch pushes my stomach over the edge, and I immediately projectile vomit straight into the middle of Cassius's torso. We both stare at the mess on his fur, which is starting to drip heavily onto his garments. Oh gods! Oh gods! Little screeches, and at the same time I vomit again, right in the same spot. Cassius immediately stumbles back, screeching as he waves his paws uselessly at the mess, then actually starts to retch himself. I'm not able to see if he's actually throwing up, too. Instead, I crumple to sit on the ground, feeling the world spin around me. Thankfully, the next thing I hear is Amicus's voice. It's like he's coming from far away, even though I can tell that he's crouching right next to me.
What did you do to him, Cassius?
I did nothing! He... Hear splattering noises. The pipes are calling.
Hey, Spoof. Hey, Bubby. I know you're over here trying to get that bread, but you ain't gonna get my bread. You ain't gonna get my bread. No bread for you.
William, what happened? What's wrong?
I sway, and Amicus lets me lean into him despite my vomit-covered robes. I don't know.
Was it the food? Are you...
I stick out an arm and feel the wolf catch it delicately, examining it. Gods. He mumbles it under his breath. What happened? Cassius? I hear my footsteps, and for some reason I feel myself becoming embarrassed that everyone's seeing me like this.
That barbarian! He vomited on me!
It sounds like Cassius is about to cry, but for some reason that's pretty funny to me right now. I try to laugh, but my throat is so sore.
Virginia, he's sick.
We need to get him back to the palace. Get in the carriage.
It's too slow!
I feel the world tilt as I seem to just levitate off the ground, then I realize that Amicus has picked me up. The Praesters have much faster vehicles. We could get one from them.
William,
I hear his voice, but for some reason I can't respond. It's like a dream.
there's no time. I'm running back.
Really? Amicus! Well, I guess we'll find out how this is gonna go on the next episode. Oh, shit. I was wanting to fucking say that this was gonna be the last one, but, you know, because my throat's starting to get all fucked up, but, I can't stop now. So, thank you all for watching this episode. Let's go ahead and cut to the end slate transition screen. Thank you. Okay, yeah. Thank you to the patrons who are now shown on the left. On the right, we have videos recommended. One from YouTube, one which is just the most recent one. Links to social media stuff in the description, as well as a whole bunch of other shit. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for watching, and until then, fare thee well.